Speaking about that delay, the majority leader in the United States Senate said yesterday that he thought the delay was necessary because people weren't educated enough about how to use the Internet. Now, only in Washington, D.C., do you see politicians blaming the American people for their failures, because that's essentially what this is. The Obamacare legislation, by and large, I think most people will conclude, just isn't working. It didn't add up in the first place. It's not working. It's leading to fewer jobs, higher premiums, higher deductibles, lower take-home pay for the American people, fewer choices for doctors and hospitals. And as to the idea that it's the American people's fault because they aren't educated enough about how to use the Internet, my dad's 94 years old. He lives in my hometown of Myrtle, South Dakota. It's out in the middle of the state, a town of about 500 people. He uses the Internet every single day. I don't think the problem is the Internet or that people in this country aren't educated enough to use the Internet. I think it has a lot more to do with the fact that incompetence here in Washington, D.C. led to a failed rollout that confused millions of Americans, and that is not the responsibility, nor should we blame the American people for that. That is government trying to do big things and not doing them well. Mr. President, the government doesn't do complicated things very well. And so when you hear the new agenda now coming out from the Democrat majority here in the Senate that we're going to do this for the American people, we're going to do that for the American people, they talked about a minimum wage increase. Well, here, there again, you have the Congressional Budget Office saying that raising the minimum wage by 40%, which is what is being proposed, would in fact cost the economy jobs, up to 1 million jobs, and also would raise prices. And it's going to raise prices on the people that will be hurt the most by price increases, lower income Americans. Now, instead of putting policies in place that cost the American economy jobs, we ought to be looking at things that actually create jobs. We have a proposal called the Keystone Pipeline, which the President's own State Department has said would create 42,000 jobs. So those are real jobs, shovel-ready jobs to be available today. But instead, we want to put policies in place that are actually going to cost the economy jobs. Now, if you're an American citizen out there and you hear Washington, D.C. is going to do more for you yet again, you got to be saying, whoa, hold the phone. We've seen enough of that already. We've seen this picture before. We've seen what that results. When the government tries to do big and complicated things, it just doesn't do them very well. And the website rollout is a perfect example of that, as is the 2,700-page Obamacare legislation, followed by about 25,000 pages of regulations, which people in this country have to try and discern and figure out. And so, Mr. President, I would submit that there are things that will create jobs. The Keystone Pipeline, we know, will create jobs. Trade Promotion Authority, passing Trade Promotion Authority and allowing our trade negotiators to create more market opportunities for small businesses and farmers and ranchers and entrepreneurs in this country around the world will create jobs. Passing Trade Promotion Authority and getting the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement enacted and the European Trade Agreement enacted, they say would expose American businesses to 1 billion new consumers worldwide. Well, those are the types of things that do create jobs. We know that. Instead of having an election year agenda that is just transparently stated to be that, why don't we actually talk about things that will create jobs and will improve the overall standard of living for people in this country?